Congratulations! You have a beautiful new Surface device. My name is Jared Marino.
And I'm Josh Martin.
We're with the Surface team, and we want to tell you how best to take care of your device, both the battery, your power cords, and maybe some of this nice Alcantara fabric that is in some of our machines. So let's jump right in.
Yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is optimizing our battery life. It's important that you're charging it at the right time for the right amount of time, and that you're not overcharging the battery as well. The first thing you want to do is ensure that you're not leaving your Surface device plugged in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It can burn the battery a little bit over time, and it just isn't really great for the longevity of it. The next piece is that you want to store your device in a cool place as much as possible. Anytime that you have excess heat in the environment around your device while you're using it, it is going to drain your battery just a little bit faster. So if you find that your device is in a warmer area, anything you can do to cool it is going to help with that battery longevity.
Another good exercise. It is perfectly fine to leave your device plugged in for the majority of your workday, but we recommend at least once a month that you let it charge down to maybe 10%. That allows the battery to kind of flex its muscles, use more of the cells that are within it. At the end of the day, lithium ion is still an acid that does need some movement and some usage. So it helps keep your battery nice, happy, and healthy.
We're always keeping a finger on the pulse of battery on our different devices. And so one thing that you can always do just regularly, once a week or so, is just to ensure that you have all of the firmware updates that may be available for your device. That's going to help ensure that your battery is running long and well for the long run as well.
And in most cases, this should happen automatically because your organization has configured your device to check for updates, but it never hurts to go into settings and press the button.
And while you're using your device, Battery Saver is a really great feature that helps you just squeeze a few more percentage points out of your day. If you find you got a busy day ahead and you left your charger back at your desk and you're on site, for example, Battery Saver can just help. It's going to stop syncing in the background, for example. Any updates are not going to start running while you're on Battery Saver, and it's going to lower the brightness by default as well to help you save a few more percentage points.
You've probably seen a Battery Saver or so on your phone or some other machine. The way it works in Windows is a little bit different. Your processor is capable of very high performance. What Battery Saver does is if you're not needing all that performance right now, it'll actually cap it. So it will by nature, use less battery life because you're simply not consuming as much power. So it is a very effective battery saver. It doesn't just turn off Wi-Fi or put it into airplane mode. It's a little bit more far-reaching. So definitely worth considering to get even hours more battery life out of your machine.
Yeah. And if you're finding that while you plug in your Surface Connect port, the light you want to ensure is lit up, and that means that your device is charging. If you plug this in and you don't see a light, there may be an issue with your cord or with the connector on your device. The first thing you want to check is take a look at the cord real close. Sometimes, because it is a magnetic connection, little pieces of metal debris that may be rolling around in your purse or briefcase sometimes get stuck to those pins. And so it's just a quick matter of brushing it off with your finger and ensuring that that connection happens completely all the way through.
Surface has an amazing touch screen. We want to make sure you understand how to properly clean that touch screen and make it look as beautiful as the day you bought it. So just a couple of quick call outs. You want to clean it frequently, and this doesn't need to be with anything too ornate. With soft screen cleaning cloth like this to make sure your screen is looking always beautiful, happy, and healthy.
Also, if you're on the go with your device, it's important to not leave it out in the sun for too long. That UV light can damage the screen if it's sitting out there for a longer period of time. So just ensure that if it's in your car or anything like that, that it's not going to get too hot and that it's not going to be baking in that hot sun either.
Of course, it is a screen, so we want to make sure it is covered. That is why the type cover is an amazing solution for that. So make sure if you're using a Surface Pro specifically, that you keep that type cover closed on top of your screen. Surface Laptop and Surface Book 2, of course, make that a little bit more easy. As you're transporting the device, just simply close it.
And we've got this beautiful Alcantara fabric on our type covers, on our Surface Laptop. And while it ages really well and it ages like fine leather, it's also important to make sure that we wipe off those oils every once in a while that our hands naturally produce throughout the workday. And we've got a few tips to help you do that.
Absolutely. So again, that cloth, which may or may not be as visually brilliant as this one, and that's fine. You just want to simply damp that cloth. And if there is a stain or so, just kind of rub in a circle, just like my mom would teach me, you stain
just
something
a little bit of
fabric.
pressure. Yeah.
Yeah. For the most part, just a little bit of water on this, and then scrubbing that out. If there is any type of residue from your hands or anything, it should be plenty effective for the type cover. You may notice that over time, but if you feel your type cover, the back is actually that pure Alcantara fabric, whereas on the front side, it is slightly waxed. So that does help protect against any of the oils and the things that your hands may or may not produce.
If you do spill something on your type cover, and it happens, as much as we don't want it to happen, it happens sometimes, right? Whether someone calls your name and you knock over your coffee or something like that, right? You sometimes needed something a little heavier than just water. A light soap, whether that's dish soap or hand soap, works really well. It's just important that you don't put it directly on the Alcantara. Put it on that lint-free cloth first, and then start wiping it, just to ensure that you're not gonna get the Alcantara a little too wet, damp, or that the soap's not gonna get stuck in there. When it comes to transporting your cables and how you store those, whether you're throwing them in your bag or you're just leaving it at the office for the weekend, it's important that you never wrap the cables too tightly around that power brick. I know it can be tempting at times to wrap it very tight so that it takes up a small footprint, but that can wear away at the cables, especially where the connectors meet up. So just ensure that while you are wrapping those cables, just wrap it loosely around your hand and then put it in your bag from there.
Absolutely. So to illustrate that point, here is a Surface charger. And of course, on your Surface charger, you do have a USB port to charge any device. It's not a port for your computer, it's just to charge, so nice little added benefit. But what we're talking about here is wrapping your cord. So as you are going to fold it in on itself, this is way too tight, this right here. So we want to make sure that the body here of the cable is not pulling or bending too much. Same goes for the other side of your charger. This doesn't have as much room or protection as the other side, so this is, of course, way too tight. We want to make sure that it has an ability to go vertical before it starts to bend. So that's just some of those best practices for your charger.
Yeah. And just like your tea kettle at home, it's important to not pull that Surface Connect port charger from the cable. If you're disconnecting it from your device, grab it from the actual connector, that blade connector, and pull it directly out. Otherwise, it just wears down on that cable a little bit. Also, over time, if you do find that your cable starts to fray, it's important to let your IT admin know so that you can get that replaced as soon as possible. That can be dangerous at times if the cable does wear away on that outer coating, and you want to ensure that the integrity holds true.
Now, if you're responsible for the long-term management of the Surface devices, and let's say maybe there's a classroom's worth of machines that need to be stored for the summer, or there's some employees that have yet to be onboarded and we need to store these devices somewhere, just a couple of tips for doing that effectively. You can stack Surface devices on top of each other, but no more than 10 devices at a time. The weight of those devices we want to make sure is just in the right place, so if you're creating piles, stack no more than 10 on top of each other. It is also really important that the batteries stay charged, making sure that they charge to at least 50%. Even if they are powered off or in deep hibernation, the battery will still slowly seep away, just the nature of lithium ion. So it's good to make sure that you're keeping those devices charged. Here's what might occur if we don't do that. If the device does drain to way below a certain level, the device may refuse to power on. It's a little bit angry at you. So what you're going to want to do is, of course, plug it back into power. It still might not turn on. And I know that might be a little jarring. Don't worry. Device isn't necessarily broken. It just needs a bit more power before it's able to comply. So give it about 2 to 3 minutes or so. And then when you hit power on your device, it should either boot normally, or you might see a battery indicator letting you know that it just needs a few more minutes. But that is only if it's stored for a very long period of time, or if the battery is drained well beyond the normal level. So not something you'll encounter all of the time. If you are storing it, of course, make sure that is a cool and dry place to keep those devices nice and safe.
So these are just some tips throughout your day that can help you ensure the longevity of your devices cosmetically, but also just the integrity of the physical device itself. You want to make sure that there's no issues with it in the long run.
Your Surface is your new friend for the next few years. So we want to make sure that we treat our friends very nicely, and I hope that this has been helpful to help you get the most out of your Surface and really have a good, long, happy relationship with your new device.